Okay, this is ironic. This is amazing. Just flew
Wonderful.
all the way from Dubai,
Yeah,
25 hours,
yeah.
all the way here, Miami.
You come to Miami, exciting city. We have beaches.
I
and
love
you
it,
come
and
to
the weather
see-
is beautiful.
Yeah, you picked a good time.
Yes, I'm lucky. I'm lucky enough,
Perfect day.
and I can't even see how lucky I am that I'm actually seeing you, meeting you, and
Yeah.
listening to your beautiful stories the past hour.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for hosting
My
us.
pleasure. Thank you.
Julian, I'm so excited. When I started this hobby 10 years back, and then I stopped for a while, but when I started, I remember the seaweed bag.
Yeah.
And every time, I'd open the seaweed, put it for my fish, and I was so excited.
Yeah.
But then years pass by, I meet Tony Vargas, our friend,
Yeah.
and he says, "You gotta go to Miami and meet Julian." In the beginning, it did not hit me. He's like, "Two Little Fishies, fine, all right." But then he says, "Julian," I go home to my aquarium and I see the bag. I was like, "Your name has been there for 10 years."
That guy.
That guy.
Yes.
And I'm here today. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
So, Two Little Fishies.
Yeah.
Tell me
Well-
the story. Where did it all
well,
start?
We started the company in 1991. I was at the time doing aquarium maintenance, and I was working at the University of Miami in their experimental fish hatchery. So I was kind of an academic, earning minimum wage, and trying to figure out what to do. I'd graduated as a biologist from the University of Florida. It's a long story.
Okay.
You can find, there's some videos online where I go into more
There's
detail.
a lot of history online
Yeah,
about
a
you.
lot of history there. We actually also are just beginning a YouTube channel where I have a video shot by aficionado Richard Back,
Okay.
and cover in much more detail. But to make it a short story, I started Two Little Fishies with a business partner who had an idea to make a video.
Okay.
And since we're sitting here in my office, perfect timing,
Perfect.
show you
VHS.
that video.
Okay. Just let me make sure the mic is.
Is it
yeah,
working?
Yeah, it is. It is.
It
just
is working.
Okay.
So,
Guys, VHS. Okay.
yeah, this is the first product of Two Little Fishies. You can see our original logo there.
Wow. History, huh?
Yeah, a logo with like a film strip,
yes,
two
yes.
fish on a film strip. We didn't know that Two Little Fishies would grow to be this international manufacturing company. We made this product, which I wrote and narrated, and my business partner at that time was familiar with a local video production company that still exists.
Oh, wow.
So think of that, since 1991. Very talented group of people there. One guy in particular who, has made that company such a wonderful success. They do advertising for major firms in South Florida, Latin America, and whatnot. In any case, they did our video, and the video retailed for like $75.
Okay.
We advertised it in Freshwater and Marine Aquarium magazine, and people bought it. We sold them wholesale to pet shops, and the pet shops would rent the video out.
Wow.
People would watch it, learn about setting up a reef aquarium, and then
This video was about introducing
an introduction to the hobby of reef keeping. It
Simple.
was just the basics, how to set up a reef tank, basic information.
1991.
1991.
Exciting.
So that was how we started the company. And then, we were really successful with it. But, if you want a company to perpetuate, obviously the sales peak and then come down. If you want it to perpetuate, then you need to introduce new things.
Of course.
The video opened the door to that. It made it simple to consider, what else did we want to sell? And one of the next products was kalkwasser. People needed that for maintaining their calcium and alkalinity, and then hydrocarbon. We formed a partnership with Peter Wilkins. It's a name that some of your viewers will be familiar with. Peter Wilkins is really kind of the guy who you could thank for making the reef aquarium hobby explode and grow worldwide. his influence really began in the late 1960s. And the experiments that he did from that point on through the 1970s, and then he published his work in articles and in books, made a situation where by the late 1970s, there were already reef aquariums in Europe, in Switzerland, Germany, the Netherlands.
It really goes way back.
Yes. And the reef aquarium hobby as an industry, where you started seeing manufacturers making products, really began right around 1980, 80 to 82. That's when it truly took off. It went out of the realm of just these few hobbyists in clubs.
Yeah.
And it was in the US in the mid-1980s that it suddenly was recognized as a thing. I had already been a hobbyist from the time in the 1970s, and I became familiar with the reef aquarium hobby through the pet shop that I went to here. Just, timing. The pet shop was sold, and the buyer was from the UK. And that buyer had seen the reef aquarium business in Germany at the trade show that still exists to this day, Interzoo. And so I was a customer. I was 15 years old in 1982, and the owner heard me talking to customers there because he didn't have enough staff, and he said, "Kid, you want a job?" And sure, it was summertime.
Why not?
And then he said to me, look at this. And he showed me pictures of reef aquariums from brochures in Interzoo. And he says, why don't we set up something here? Let's make...
In Miami.
Let's set up a reef aquarium. You can collect the live rock, because I had already talked to customers, because I was keeping live rock at that time. Let's just set one up. And we did it. Are your battery going? No, you're good. So anyway, that's beside the whole Two Little Fishies thing, but it's how I got kind of a head start. I was keeping reef aquariums since 1982.
Wow.
And then there's so much, it'll be in my YouTube channel, but after I graduate...
I love the passion. You speak about it, and I can see you going through a tunnel of memories.
Yeah,
you just went back all the way to 1982. But then you look at today, and you look at the way the hobby and the way the hobby has advanced.
Yes.
Today, Two Little Fishies, if I may say, is a solution provider for us hobbyists.
I like that term, solution provider. That's what we try to do. Provide and solutions, not just liquid solutions, but problem solving. Because I'm a hobbyist as well, I encounter all the same problems that you and everybody, and I try to come up with solutions. And when I find something works really well for me, that's it. Bingo, I've got something that could be marketed. So I then look, is it legal to do? Is it practical? Is it simple? There's a lot of solutions you can come up with for people that are not simple. And not inexpensive either. And, other manufacturers have produced things that I look at the complexity, and I'm like, I know that's something Two Little Fishies would never do. And I'm glad that they go to that level, because there's things that are, truly useful, but super complex. I look for simpler design. I want it to be elegant and practical and affordable, all of those things, and it becomes our
and there's trust
mantra. Yes.
Today, let's be honest. I mean, with your aquarium, if you decide to add one element to it, you really need to trust the product.
Correct.
And I'm sure for you running the business for so long, you've really built that bridge. Us back in the UAE, I hear really good feedback about your products.
I'm glad to hear that.
And honestly speaking, I mean, ever since I started, I know that my first product was the Magno. That's the, where is it? There it is.
The Veggie Mag.
The Veggie Mag. That was my first one.
This is fairly late in our history.
Okay,
but I'm glad for it. Yeah.
But I want to ask you, what was the first product you introduced the first product in Two Little Fishies. What was your first product? Was it this one?
Well, the very first product is the video.
No, but from a retail, I mean, to customers.
From a retail, I believe it was Kalkwasser.
Okay. And why did you choose this product?
Peter Wilkins.
Okay.
Peter Wilkins, as I said, really is kind of like the godfather of reef aquarium keeping. And he made it clear to the whole hobby and to me personally, he said, look, if you want to create a business for reef aquarium keeping, a product that you must sell is calcium hydroxide, which the Germans refer to as Kalkwasser, lime water. He said it's so essential and so simple and inexpensive, a great way to have balanced calcium and alkalinity. You use it as your top-off water, with the caveat that it can bump your pH up if you're not careful. But we came up with, recipes how to use it. And yeah, that was a first product. He also recommended the hydrocarbon, and that was his name too. He was marketing hydrocarbon in Switzerland, in Germany, in the Netherlands. And a third product that's not here, it's no longer in the marketplace, was his trace element supplement, which was called Combisan. I actually have a bottle in my little display over there. It's part of Two Little Fishies history. In any case, Peter Wilkins passed away, and so Combisan is no longer made. He actually manufactured the concentrate of Combisan and sent that to us, and then we put it with water to the correct strength and then bottled it.
The hobby has changed a lot, and I think every decade new things are evolving, new discoveries. That's why, I mean, we've managed to put as much SKUs as possible on the table.
Oh
we tried.
We have a lot. I don't even know the number of SKUs now. You can look at the brochure, and I have 15 new SKUs that I'm introducing.
I know for sure I'm taking some back to the UAE with me. That's for sure. But what are we looking at the table? Let's take them to a quick tour of what we have on the table. Besides my favorite veggie mag.
Yeah, the veggie mag is also one of my favorites. That one took me a number of years to perfect. We really got the design quite perfect now. The original ones, after time, the inner part would come apart, and that was unfortunate because we had to replace them all along. But now they're very robust.
Done perfectly.
And I had the idea to do it, and then one of our customers, one of the distributors, said, you really should make one of these. I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking about that, and I have some. He said, I could sell a ton of them, and that motivated me, and we came up with a number of designs. We had already made the clip. Seaweed clips were very popular. There was one company in Georgia that was really selling a lot of them. They had a good design, but I came up with improvements on their design, and we came in and we took over the marketplace just on the clip with a suction cup.
I mean, I see it everywhere. I see all the hobbyists buying this. So
so then the idea, suction cups suck, right? So can we do it with magnets? Well, yes, you could, but how can we make the magnet idea better? And there's a lot of little features, you may not realize, but the inner part floats. If you had a magnet and you separated the other part and it sunk, that would be really a bad thing. And there are other ones on the market like that. But to make that strong and floating was an engineering challenge.
Amazing.
And it took us a while, but we got all of that. There's other little details like how the outer part sticks to the glass. And that way, if a fish tugs on the inner part, it'll come back. The outer part doesn't fall to the ground.
Everything is thought of.
Oh, a lot. And it all,
I mean, knowing you for the last hour, I can see how detailed you are. So you really look into details.
And there were so many people who didn't understand all the different things we wanted to do.
Acropower. I started using this a month ago.
Yes.
I was told by the guys at Thinkfish. They said that you better start giving this to your aquarium, to your corals.
Right.
What do you think, what's your feedback on this?
Well, it's one of our most popular products.
Yes.
This is
Acropower.
Really important for Two Little Fishies. And it is amino acids for corals. I knew there were products in the marketplace that were amino acids. And at the time I saw them, I thought, okay, that's clever. I know corals absorb amino acids. I had seen it in the scientific literature, but I had it in my head that, gee, if I'm feeding my fish, foods. If I'm using frozen foods and the liquid comes off, that's got amino acids in it.
Yeah.
Why do I need to add a separate liquid?
Okay.
So I was opposed to it originally, but I had customers as well as an influencer, Jake Adams,
Yeah.
the late Jake Adams, who sent me emails and messages saying, Julian, listen, you need to look into amino acids. It's really something special.
Mhm.
They weren't saying to me, Julian, this is a moneymaker. What they were saying is, you need to try them and see what it does
Yeah.
for your aquarium. And what I did was I thought, okay, well, I've seen the scientific literature. Let me, look at what key amino acids are important, and I'll just buy the free amino acids,
Correct.
dissolve them, and see what happens. And I was surprised.
Okay.
People have asked me this before. There's other videos of me talking about this, but basically I was surprised because I didn't imagine that amino acids coming from food would be different from dissolved free amino acids that are pure, okay? There's a difference. And I don't fully understand it to this day, but I can tell you that when you give them the dissolved free amino acids,
Your corals get what they want.
They are happy.
Happy.
Yeah.
I've felt the change.
So the colors pump up, the polyps fill out and expand more. And it's not like you have to wait for this to happen. It's within a few days, all of a sudden you're like, wow, everything's happy. So it is a type of nutrition that is different from the foods that you're feeding your fish, or even the planktonic food that you feed corals. It's something additional that you can add. Sea elements. This is my own formulation, my own approximation of what Combisan was. Okay, I'll never know exactly what Peter Wilkins' what his recipe was, but I have some ideas of what the important elements were because he told me. He said, these are the major ones, but
you worked on yours and came up with one.
Yes, after it was no longer available as Combisan.
A very well-known product.
Yeah, Aquastick.
Aquastick.
We've been making that since the mid-1990s. We were actually the first to introduce a putty stick. Very shortly thereafter, a bunch of people did.
Yes.
And the first one we introduced was colored like coralline algae.
And still the
and
same.
It didn't occur to me at that time to patent that idea. There's a number of products where I have patented my ideas.
Nice.
At the time, I just thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if we do this? Well, yeah, now many other brands on the marketplace are doing the same thing, but we were first. And we make it a high quality product, of course.
Which we can use for rocks.
Yes.
We can use for our corals, for the frags, to stick them. I mean, I think it plays, sometimes I find it hard sometimes using glue.
Right, but you can use both.
But now I've heard somebody taught me a new technique where you actually put together.
Yes.
So
well, the idea is you mix up the epoxy and you put the glue on it, because the epoxy is not a glue. It's a filler. Once it hardens, it will hold onto a thing, but it doesn't stick well. It's not sticky. Whereas this is sticky. So if you put that on it and then you put the coral there, it's not going to fall off, and then you can mash it in and you get a real.
Do you have a solution? How do you get the glue off your fingers?
There are
I've
super glue
all
removers.
My nails.
Oh yeah, well, worse than that is if you get on your clothes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you definitely do not want to be in good clothes and you see a coral fall and I'll just fix this right now, and it gets on you and you're done. You cannot
actually after using the epoxy, sometimes if you touch the yes. Okay, I mean I have all the electricity switches at home. They're all red now. So I've lost it.
Okay.
And this is what I think we're missing in the market. It's the Goniopora.
Yeah.
I mean, I've realized in Dubai, or maybe what I've seen the last 6 months, is everybody's going after the gonies.
Yes.
Everyone has so many gonies.
Goniopora is a beautiful coral with these beautiful daisy-like polyps. You see, I've got a bunch of them in the tank out front, among my favorites. you're going to ask about favorite corals. I like so many, but
You jumped the
Gonioporas
line
are
now.
definitely there.
So how good is this for gonies?
It's wonderful.
Wonderful.
Also, this is important for gonies. One of the ingredients in here is manganese.
Yes, manganese.
Is super
Ayman
important.
told me about this lately.
Yeah, if
It's
you
picking up the whole discussion on
look
manganese.
online, type in Julien Sprung Goniopora manganese, you'll find where I wrote about that.
Okay.
It was a big moment where there was a time when people couldn't keep Goniopora.
Okay.
They really couldn't figure it out. And I was experimenting in developing this. I found that adding manganese as well as iron, the Gonioporas really, really liked it. They would expand. And
both of them together?
You do not, you don't mix the food in that, but it's a supplement that you add weekly to the aquarium, and the food you can add daily.
Okay.
But they're both important for Goniopora, that and the sea elements.
Okay.
So we also have an iron supplement that has the manganese in it. So either sea elements or our iron concentrate will take care of.
Anything that you suggest, for example, for anemone keepers? A lot of people are keeping anemones now.
Yes.
Any suggestions?
Well, there's different types of anemones. Some are easier or more hardy than others, so you can't really generalize.
Okay.
Some of the difficult ones would be like a carpet anemone,
yes,
or what they call ritteri, which is Heteractis magnifica, which may get changed to Sticodactyla magnifica. Interestingly, Joe Rowlett wrote a wonderful book on corals and anemones, and he proposed that, and I think he's right. The magnifica anemone is very close to the carpet anemones, even though it has the bigger tentacles. They suffer from bacterial problems, and so when receiving them or in the wholesale facilities, they probably need an antibiotic treatment first to get them over that damage in shipping. So once they're beyond, healthy and beyond having that problem, then they're hardy and they need the right amount of light and water movement. I think corals in general are easier to keep than the carpet anemones and the
I've seen
ritteri.
a big one outside.
Yeah. Right.
Red one.
Yeah, I have a long tentacle anemone that is Macrodactyla. And I think the genus on that one may have changed recently. I believe Macrodactyla is now a Heteractis. It's confusing because it was forever Macrodactyla duriensis, then it was Condylactis briefly, and then...
Are you testing me on this later on?
Yeah, well, you could say your viewers
I'm not doing an exam on this.
I believe they are now a Heteractis.
Okay.
But they are actually one of the easiest ones to keep. That's the corkscrew anemone or long tentacle anemone. They come out of Indonesia.
Yes.
Very simple to keep. As you can see from looking at the tank, the water movement is not so critical. They need some water movement. If you go stagnant, they'll get up and they walk around. Yes. In fact, when my pump gets a little bit clogged, the anemone lets me know. It pops up out of the sand. I'm like, oh yeah, I need to clean the pump.
Oh wow.
And then I clean it, the water flow increases and it goes back to exactly the same place. It knows where it wants to be for light and water movement. Anemones do that.
Normal. They move around a lot.
They do. Yeah. They do. But when they hit the right spot, they will stay.
They do the dance at night.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you personal question, like things about the hobby, if that's it. If you were to pick, first of all, what was the, let's say, the craziest memory you have in this hobby? Something that you'll never forget happened with you.
There's too many. Well, there's one I've talked about on Richard Back interviewed me. It was kind of funny, where we were selling kalkwasser, right? And we had a guy who called up and he pronounced it in a way that I'm not going to embarrass you guys. That was really, really funny. So that happens. But do you mean like funny with
something crazy that happened with you? No, like you forgot the water once.
Oh gosh, that happens more often than I'd like to admit.
Not even once.
Where
Okay.
you know, topping off, and yeah, oh, you hear it dripping, and you got to hurry up, and hopefully you're there to catch it. Yeah, it's important.
What was your first fish?
Yeah, we talked about that earlier.
Sure.
You know, one of my first fish where it was, you know, my aquarium proper, not
Setup,
not
yes,
my
yes.
father's aquarium, not one of my brother's aquariums. One of my aquariums was a rock beauty.
Okay.
Another first fish in that same aquarium was a mandarin fish.
Oh.
You know, the rock beauties we are able to collect here. They're on the reefs off Miami. Mandarin fish is imported from the Philippines, and that would qualify to answer the question of a favorite fish. I think a lot of people agree with me on that.
Yeah.
It's a fish that seems to have been created out of a fantasy.
It's beautiful.
It's beyond beautiful. It's not just colorful.
The way it hovers.
The way it moves, and it's so not fish-like. It's just the strangest thing. And yeah, so it's hard to not love that fish. There's fish that I love for different reasons. Mandarins kind of have it all. Angel fishes, you know, I love angels. It's hard to beat a regal angel.
Clowns.
Beautiful clownfish, I love them. But there are fish that are super, super intelligent that grab me for that reason. Of the angel fish, the imperator angel is an extremely intelligent fish, and it, you know, you feel it. Like, you know,
the way it looks at you.
Yeah, and they talk. They communicate. So I don't know if we'll have a chance to go stop by my house by the time we go to Colin.
I'd love to.
We'll see.
I'm staying here till tomorrow, so whatever you want.
Okay. In any case, yeah, my imperator there, and it's a girl. She, you know, is watching me and everybody in the space.
Yep.
And you know, instead of the fish, instead of getting bored, it'll, you know, okay, I'm going to turn upside down now just so I can see the world in a different way.
Yeah,
and they do that. It's crazy.
What's your favorite coral?
Well, push comes to shove, I like large polyp, you know, single polyp corals like Cinerina, Acanthophilia, Indophilia. They're a coral I have focused my attention on. Fascinated me early on, you know. I feel the same way about some of the fungiid corals. You know, it's a single polyp with a big mouth, and you can really take care of it and feed it. But the most beautiful are these Acanthophilia, and the hobby has sort of caught on to that, and those have a very high price tag now.
Acans and Blastos, I think those two are really...
Yes.
I have a thing for Blastos. Every time I go see a frag, I pick it up and I put them all next to each other.
Right. You saw my Blastomusas out there, the little ones. I have them.
And I was amused with that carpet, and I mean, I still believe...
Yeah.
I have not seen a nice...
Well, the carpet you're referring to, that one was called Stichodactyla tepidum for the longest time. Maxi Mini, it's a different genus. I forget the genus now, but it's not even related to the carpet anemones. It's more closely related to the pizza anemone, Cryptodendrum, and there's another anemone, Thalassianthus. They're separate, and they're hardy, easy to keep. So if you can get them, I have no reservations to tell people. You can keep that. They do wander a little bit, but not too much. They're not very stingy, and you could keep them in a tank, little bitty tank like that.
This has been on the table the whole time. So Julian's thing.
Yes.
I always used to think like, okay, how do I feed my corals? And I didn't know this existed. My bad.
Yeah.
Well, and you've been keeping it on your lap the whole interview.
Right.
What's going on?
There is Julian's thing.
Yep.
Okay, so I had this idea. I mentioned my brother to you earlier in conversation, and my brother was more of a fish keeper than a coral keeper.
Okay.
And he made a device that was, and lots of people have made this thing, that was basically a rigid airline tube connected to a soft, flexible airline tube. And he would put the flexible line in his mouth, and he would suck up brine shrimp or other things into the rigid part and then blow it out and feed it to
coral.
his, well, he didn't even, not the coral, to his fish.
Fish.
So it was and you know, if there was a fish that was more timid, like a jawfish in the bottom or a mandarin fish, you know, you feed your big fish that are out there, your angels, they're and tangs and wrasses, and they're running around. Mandarin fish is more timid and slow.
Correct.
You could put the food near it. And so that's what he did. And for years, I did the same thing. I made this little simple device. But I thought about it, and you know, my mind was wondering, how can I make this better? You know, first of all, sticking this thing in your mouth, it's not very sanitary. And if you ever make a mistake and you suck up some brine shrimp, you'll never do it again. It's nasty.
No more seafood.
Okay. So I had it in mind that I could make a device that was powered with a syringe.
Correct.
Okay. And I had seen this type of a syringe where you could put your fingers on it, and so it was easy to manipulate. And then I had to figure out where to buy them. And I suffered literally for about 2 years looking to try to find they were made out of metal. I was looking for a plastic one. And one day I found it. Lo and behold, I found a manufacturer that made those.
Wow.
And once I had that, all the rest came.
It was easy.
Yeah. So then, well, not so easy. There's
Not
a
so
lot,
easy, of course.
There's a lot of little parts.
You know, sometimes it's interesting when you look at products.
Yeah.
How much effort? I mean, who would have said, like today with the modern days,
Yes.
who would have said it took you 2 years to find the syringe, for example?
I'm telling you, I by that time we already had a company in China that was making the reactors for us,
Yes.
and they could make molds. And I talked to them about, you know, I drew it. I said, look, they exist. Do we need to make a mold? And they started making prototypes, and their prototypes actually were not very good.
Okay.
And it was during that time that I found it.
Okay.
And I said, never mind, I've got somebody who makes this thing, and I was able to do that. It's made in France.
Oh, wow.
Crazy, huh? You know, you could source things all over the world.
Good quality, I'm guessing. After
if it were made in the U.S., I'd buy it from somebody, but it's not. It's made in France. And
if I ask you years down the line,
yeah,
how happy are you with Two Little Fishies today?
I am very happy with the company. You know, there are situations that sometimes, you know, frustrate the hell out of me, as anybody in business. I could go on and on, but I'm really happy with the way we've developed, where I have been able to create something and then add value to the hobby, as well as value to my staff. You know, I'm giving them employment and making a good living for everybody. Those things make me very happy.
I can see it. I can feel it.
Yeah, I get unhappy when there's rumbling. Sometimes people, you know, don't necessarily get along and have a bad day, but that happens everywhere.
That happens.
And
I mean,
I also
today, after all those years,
yeah,
you've given back to the hobby. That's for sure. That's the summary of it.
That's the, you know, the thing that I in the end of the day, I feel very satisfied with that. It's a satisfied mind. When something like finding that opens the door to me to be creative, to create the whole thing. I mean, you know, I didn't show you, I knew that there was a problem that once you suck something up, it's going to fall out.
Yes.
And so that meant I had to come up, this is a little valve,
Yes.
a simple idea. And it took me a couple of iterations to figure out who could make the part. I made a little prototype, and then we're able to do that. And it solves it. So I can suck that up like that, and it won't even drip out. It holds it. And then all the little parts to you know, the tip and everything, they were ones that I could find, and we were able to put it together. Source them. You know, we found a company in the U.S. that could make the tube of the right size that worked with all the parts.
And remember, I mean, let's keep in mind the quality of the products is not just for quality, it's also the material used is important, because you cannot put anything in an aquarium. This
tube, you could use aquarium hose, but it wouldn't work as well, because for the pressure that you need, it needs to be super rigid. It needs to be flexible, but super rigid. So this was a pneumatic type of a hose. There are a lot of little details, just like with the Veggie Mag, subtle little things that make it great. Takes time to make that happen. Then, well, okay, what are we going to call it?
Julian's thing.
Right. So that was inspiration. And then how are we going to package it?
Package is big, yeah.
Okay, everybody would, put it on a blister where you can see it. And I said, no, it's kind of ugly, and
it's eye-catching.
Let's make it where you can't see it and you don't know what it is. So what problems come up with that? Well, that meant that when I had to bring it to the industry, nobody knew what it was.
Yeah.
So that's one of the worst things you can do in introducing a product. But the name caught your attention. So we've been successful with that because, I explained to people, look, you need to, if you want to market this thing, you need to have it out where people can see it.
Sure.
Then they'll understand the packaging and get it. But if I were to package it like this in a clear bag, it wouldn't have the same effect. And that was the decision. So I enjoy in the company, one of the things that brings me a lot of pleasure is thinking about how to market it, how to make it a beautiful package. And I enjoy when I see my competitors. There's a lot of my competitors that do wonderful work in packaging. And I look and I'm like, wow, that's really, a great job. And I understand the thoughts that are involved in it.
What I like about your product is the photography you've used. Yeah. I realized in every box, in every product, you have really nice photography.
Right. And they're my pictures. So, yeah. May not be something that you realize, but every one of them.
Can I share my pictures and maybe use it for one of your products one day?
Hey, certainly, please.
I like even on your packaging, the warehouse. We just took a walk inside and I've seen the salt and the boxes. Really nice photography.
On the salt box, the zoanthids are Colin's pictures.
Okay.
Yeah. So Colin Ford graciously allowed me to use his photos there. And the fish was his fish, but it was my photograph on there. I had the idea I wanted to do that mouth. And, so it took me about an hour with his fish that he's coming up to feed. I get that shot, and that was it.
Lastly is the concentrate.
Yeah, Sea Balance is a 2-part calcium and alkalinity supplement. We introduced that in 1996.
Okay.
There are a lot of 2 parts and 3 parts and 4-part supplements now.
Now the trend is 4 parts, I'm guessing.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Anyway, the idea...
And you introduced this in?
1996.
Okay, I think everyone's too late.
Yeah. We worked with a chemist who formulated that to be balanced, providing the calcium and alkalinity, as well as magnesium, strontium, all the ions in a natural seawater balance, but very high elevated calcium and alkalinity. So when you add it to the tank, you're not disturbing the ionic balance. You're giving them what they need and not shifting the ions, except for sodium and chloride. So you end up with excess salt, which you can easily accommodate with the protein skimmer, taking seawater out or removing some water.
All of the products are on the website.
Yeah. Well, no.
No? Okay. So
we have a new website in development now. It'll be introduced this year. 2025.
Because I realized the website is a bit.
It's an old website. Hello.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye. Anyway, we'll have all the products, including the new ones, on the website. People will be able to log in and even purchase direct.
Okay.
Our wholesalers will be able to log in and enter their orders in the website. And it's something that I've wanted for years, and it's taken us. We actually initiated the work on it almost 1 year ago. There's a couple of little hiccups to make it work with both wholesale and retail, but we'll have it.
Will we see you in Dubai soon?
I hope so.
Okay.
You mentioned having some kind of an event there, and I would.
We would love to. We'd love to have you. I think we would love to know more about your products in our region.
Yeah.
I think there's so much that I've learned from you today.
Great.
I'm so happy that I'm here today. Thank you again for welcoming me and hosting us here.
Thank you for coming directly here after such a long trip.
It was worth it. It was
That's
really
great.
worth it. Julian, thank you very much.
Rabs,
Thank you.
my pleasure.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Guys, we are definitely going to be showcasing lots of the products and definitely have Julian visit us in Dubai soon. So stay tuned with more details and info with Reef Life Aqua. Thank you.